Hello people, I'm the Real Comic Book Gamer, and today I'm going to be talking about Lex Luthor, my favorite Superman villain of all time, my favorite villain in all of comics. He's a great character. I love Lex Luthor. I think he's severely underrated. I think a lot of people don't see what a great villain he is, and today I'm going to be more talking about what separates him from other villains, because there are tons of great comic book villains, but what really separates Lex Luthor from other villains, from most villains. So I'm going to be specifically talking about a moment that happens in Superboy, the Boy of Steel. So yes, not even a Superman book, but this is written by Geoff Johns, and Geoff Johns writes one of my favorite Lex Luthors. If you want to know my favorite Lex Luthor writers, that would have to be Geoff Johns and definitely Grant Morrison. Max Landis also writes a great Lex Luthor. We barely got to see him write Lex Luthor at all in American Alien, but from what he did write, it was amazing, and I want to see more of that. But I'd definitely say my top two are Grant Morrison and Geoff Johns. They're great at writing Luthor. So anyways, again, I'm going to be talking about mainly a moment that happens in Superboy, the Boy of Steel. Just a quick note, while editing this, I couldn't find any scans for Superboy, the Boy of Steel. It's not in Comixology or anywhere, so sorry, I can't really show you on screen what I'm talking about, but it happens in Superboy, the Boy of Steel. So if you want to read it for yourself, there you go. But I'm just going to have gameplay in the background. I'm sorry that I couldn't show the scans. So in Superboy, the Boy of Steel, we see that this is a journey for Connor Kent, who is Superboy. If you don't know who he is, he's a clone made by Lex Luthor. That's a clone of Superman and Lex Luthor's DNA mixed. So in this book, he's trying to sort of find himself. He came back from the dead and he's trying to figure out who he is. He's like, am I Superman or am I Lex Luthor? So he has this notebook where he checks off stuff of what Superman would do and what Lex Luthor would do, and he's trying to walk back through their shoes and do a lot of things through them. So I'm not going to be talking about the book, but a part of the book. So anyways, part of this is he's trying to figure out, is Lex Luthor born bad? Was Lex Luthor just turned bad by the way he was raised and the bad circumstances, or is he actually evil? Because, you know, he's got his DNA in him, so it's like, does that mean I have evil DNA in me? Which is something rational for a guy that is cloned from a supervillain. Connor talks to Superman about it. He talks to Clark about Lex. He tells him, he's just like, hey, you know, do you think that Lex was born evil? Do you think that maybe if he had your upbringing with Mom and Pa Kent, things would have turned out differently? And Superman says, I doubt it. Lex is delusional. He's a sociopathic egomaniac who's convinced he's humanity's savior, or would be if I wasn't in his way. And then Connor says, so he was born bad? And Superman tells him, I didn't say that. And they have a conversation talking about how Connor tells Clark that he's trying to understand Lex, and Clark tells him, yeah, I've spent years trying to do that myself, but Lex isn't so simple to understand. So then later on in the book, just a lot of events happen. Again, I'm not talking about the book itself, just events in the book that relate to Lex. So there's a part in this book where Lex comes and he just got out of jail, and he visits Connor, and Connor is at Lex's sister's house because Connor had become friends with Lex's sister's daughter, so Lex's niece, and so he was there at her house, and Lex goes there, and he's there to see Superboy, but he realizes the house that he's at, and when he's there, he gives his whole argument, his whole speech about how, you know, I would make the world a better place if it weren't for Superman. Superman's holding me back. And then Connor tells him, yeah, I've heard that BS a million times about how, oh, I would cure cancer, I would fix the world, I would make everything so much better. Oh yeah, well, your sister proves all of that invalid, because his sister is in a wheelchair and her brain is slowly going. She is just slowly just turning really bad. They don't say specifically what it is. They say the doctors don't even know. Just something is deteriorating her. Her brain's going, her physicality is going, she can't even walk. And then Lex says, I can't cure her, because Connor challenges him basically. He's like, yeah, I've heard all this whole spiel from you before, but your sister proves all that invalid. You can't even cure her. And then Lex is like, I can't. So then we see Lex has Connor grab a bunch of ingredients to make something that would cure her, and so he makes this sort of concoction, puts it in a needle, and is able to cure her. So she's up, she's walking, she's talking fine like an actual normal sane person. She's cured. And then Lex goes up to her and hits her with another needle that sends her back into her vegetable-like state. And we see Connor go ballistic against Lex, like, why would you do this? And Lex says, Lex giveth and Lex taketh away. And he said, I proved what I could do, and the secret stays with me until Superman is dead. Now what I think is huge about this, and is just so, like, just separates Lex from every other villain, is we see Joker, Reverse Flash, all those guys, they do horrific things, terrible things to people they don't care about, people they hate. All these terrible things, like, oh man, look what Joker did in Killing Joke, so messed up. Lex Luthor did one of the most twisted things I've ever seen done in comics to someone he loves. He legitimately does love his sister, Lena, but he hates Superman that much that he's willing to give her this hope that, oh, I can cure you, I just showed you I can, and then just takes it away and just says, yeah, Superman did that. He does all that just to put the blame on Superman because he hates Superman that much. He's just like, yeah, look at all this good I could do, but Superman is the one that's holding humanity back from this. It's because of Superman. That shows you how much he absolutely hates Superman. That shows you how diabolical this guy is. That is one of the most twisted things I've ever seen a villain do in comics, because he's not doing it to someone he hates or doesn't care about whatsoever. It's someone he loves. It's his sister that he grew up with, and he does it to her. I can't believe, like, when I first read this book, I was like, holy crap, this was insanely twisted and messed up. I couldn't believe it, even for Lex to do that to someone he loves, because Lex generally has people that he likes and that he won't really do too much to, but his sister that he actually loves, he did that too. And most villains, they have someone they like or they love and they won't touch them. They're always like, oh wow, look at what Joker did to Barbara Gordon. It's like, who cares? Like, that's twisted and messed up, but that's not anyone he has any relation to. That's not anyone that he actually cares about. Oh wow, look what Reverse Flash did to Barry. Okay, that's reverse, but that, like, he doesn't care about those people, so he can do that. That's easy for him. But for Lex to do this, that shows you how much he absolutely hates Superman. That's why I think Lex probably hates Superman more than most villains hate their heroes. Like, he hates him that much that he did that to his own sister that he actually loves. And even Batman in Superman Batman Public Enemy, he talks about how much more twisted Lex is than the Joker, how much more harmful and dangerous he is than the Joker himself. Which is insane when you think about it, because the Joker is the one that most people see as the most twisted villain, the coolest villain, just the best villain out there. Most people see it as he is the #1 villain. Most people love Joker the most and say, wow, he's so twisted and messed up and he's such a cool villain. But then in Superman Batman Public Enemies, there's a part where Clark is threatening to kill Lex. He's got him by the throat and Batman's right there and Batman's watching and Batman's thinking in his head, and he's saying that how he was in this situation not long ago with the Joker, but Jim Gordon was able to talk him down. And then Batman's like, I know Jim Gordon, and he's like, and whatever evil the Joker has brought to Gotham City is dwarfed by whatever Luthor does to this entire planet. Worse, what he does to Clark, showing that what Luthor has done to Clark is way worse than what Joker has done to Gotham City, what Joker has done to Batman. And that is Batman himself saying that. That's not someone else, that is Batman talking about how much Luthor just completely dwarfs whatever the Joker does. And the Joker has done tons of plenty of twisted and sick and messed up things, but what Luthor does all the time just completely dwarfs whatever Joker's ever done. And we see during all this that Superman was just buying time for his teammates, because there were other heroes there during all this, that he was just trying to make sure they were safe. But Batman the whole time was not going to try and stop Superman from trying to kill Luthor, because this guy who's always about, no killing, he was fine with it. Batman was just like, okay, well, if he wants to kill him, that would kind of help the entire planet out a bit. And we see that's a pretty big deal that Batman's like, if Luthor dies, it's not that big of a deal. That's kind of a help. This guy that's always so against killing. And yeah, that's just what I think really separates Lex from most villains. I love Lex. There's so many cool moments with him. He's done some great stuff, but I would have to say one of my favorite moments was definitely in Superboy, the Boy of Steel. And it's overall a great book, by the way. If you haven't read it, it's written by Jeff Johns and the art is done by Francis Manapul, and it's just fantastic all around. Great writing, great art, and I love it. And that moment right there from Lex where he did that to his sister, so twisted and messed up. I couldn't believe it. And it shows you how much he truly hates Superman to his core. He hates him and despises him so much. But yeah, that's my thoughts on what really separates Lex Luthor from most comic book supervillains. Anyways, please let me know in the comments below, what did you guys think about this? Did you know this about Lex Luthor? If you didn't, how do you think he compares to other supervillains? Do you think he does separate from them a bit from this, or do you think it's just, oh, he's just like every other supervillain? Or do you think, yeah, this shows that he does something to someone he loves, not just someone he doesn't care about or hates like most villains? Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys later.
Yeah, I grew up with a prenup. Mama said keep my C up. Now noticing I'm getting caught cracker and getting beat up, but I stayed up long nights, working hard on my craft. Gave a fuck about the bullies or anyone in my path.